when should you hire an appointment setter for your coaching business? So I'm going to go over what a setter exactly is, my experiences with hiring setters, and that's a pretty funny one. When to hire a setter, how much should you pay a setter? This is an important thing as well, because most of you guys don't know the daily tasks of a setter, and where do you find good candidates to be an appointment setter for your coaching business. My experience with hiring appointment setters. So a little bit over a year ago, I hired 2 setters and I was doing 12K a month or so. I had no clear offer. I didn't make enough content, at least not like I'm doing right now, not very consistently. And I had no authority, but that mostly had to do with me not making content consistently. The thing I did was I hired one setter for Instagram and one for Facebook. And because I didn't post consistently and because I had no authority in my niche yet, they had to do outbound setting. So that means that they're just actively looking for people that could be interested, listen to the words I'm saying, could be interested, potentially, in hiring me or in getting into my program, which is a very bad thing to do because you haven't even shown them that you can do it by yourself. While I was still doing like 12, I think it was between 12 and 15K a month, and I was doing it for like 3 months consistently. And then I was like, okay, now I need 2 centers. And turned out not to be like that. I'll go over that in a couple of minutes because it's very important to know when to hire a setter. Because if you hire too soon, they're gonna leave, and if you hire too late, they're gonna have to do way too much work, and you're probably gonna be stressed before you hire them. So how much should you pay a setter? And this is an interesting thing, and I think it's not talked about enough. So it really depends on where they are from, because there are 2 types of appointment setters, as far as I know and as far as my experience goes. So there is the appointment setter that talks to people and goes into their needs and into their pain points, like on a very deep level, which requires a very high level of like English speaking. And then there's also a setter that only does inbound. So people from content or from ads go to your DM or to your messenger inbox, and they just send them over to your Calendly. Like they send your Calendly link and then they book it. Which, where they're from has a lot to do with this. So if you can hire someone from like India or the Philippines or Pakistan, that's something that you could do, and you can just pay them $3 to $5 per hour. But I would strongly encourage you to hire someone that speaks English very well. And if you speak German or Spanish or whatever, like a native speaker of the language you're working in. So someone from the Philippines, you could pay $300 to $500 per month or something, because it will be a very good salary. But if you hire someone from the US, you probably need anywhere between $2,500 to $3,500 for them to live like comfortably, which of course is what you want for your workers, for your team as well. So how many hours do they work? If you do a lot of outbound appointment setting, it probably will take them more hours. But if it's a lot of inbound, it will be 2 to 4 hours every single day. And is the result of their work improving the more hours they put in? So what I mean by this is, if they work an hour extra, will this get more result in? Will this get more money into the business? Important thing, because if it doesn't, then I would go for someone that was not like very sophisticated at what they do. And there's like 2 payment structures. There's actually 3, but I'll go over that in a minute. So I drew it here. It's amazing writing. The first structure is commission only. And for setters, it's typically anywhere between 10 to 15% per sale. Now, I'll get into it a little bit more after I've shown you the structures. Then there's also a flat fee plus commission. So it could be $500, $750, or $1,000 plus between 5 and 7.5% per sale. So of course they're gonna set meetings. Let's say they set 10 meetings, and the closing rate is like 30%, which is very low. The product is like 1,000. 3,000 is what is made, and then they get 10 to 15% of it. And that's the same thing here. But typically when you're working with someone like a native English speaker or whatever, someone from the US or from the UK, they need more money to live off of. So this one would be way better for that. So if you're just testing them out, as like testing their service out, you can go for 500, 750, or 1,000 plus that commission to still get that incentive in there. And then there's just a flat fee. So just 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, or maybe more. It's not motivating. It doesn't work. I've tried it multiple times actually. Like, it doesn't ever work. Then when to hire a setter. So the first, you want to have proof of concept. You want to be sure that, of course, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be in your DM, in your messenger, or any other inbox kind of thing. But typically it's Instagram DM and Facebook Messenger. You want to have proven yourself that you can do it yourself. So if you can do something yourself, don't hire someone else to do it for you, because you will be relying on them. You'll be very, very dependent on them. Then, when to hire as a setter, proof of concept, that's the first one. The second one is value of time. So, if you want to make 30K and you work a certain amount of hours, and you do the math on how many hours you work, so just the amount of money that you want to make, like your goal, and then divide it by the hours that you work per month, and then you can see the number. So let's say it's like $200. If the $200 per hour, let's say you are appointment setting for yourself for 5 hours, and your hourly rate would be $200, like that would be the value for your time. That means that every single day that you're appointment setting for 5 hours straight, you're investing. So it's opportunity cost. You're investing $1,000. If you're not making that back at least 5 times, it's not gonna be worth it. So that's where you want to hire a setter. Also, when you're anywhere between 30 and 35K, if this sounds like a lot of money to you, in the coaching consulting space, it's really not. It's really not a lot of money. It sounds like it, but it really isn't. So, of course, we've seen 10 to 15% per sale. And for the more experienced ones watching this might look like a lot, but for a lot of people that are just starting out and don't have a lot of money to invest up front, it is a very good way to get started with hiring an appointment setter or a closer. But I'll make another video about that because it's a whole different ballgame. So if you're making anywhere between, like, let's say you're doing 30K and you are paying someone on a commission basis, 10%, everyone, let's say all of that money goes through the setter. So someone sends a message, or the setter sends a message to the lead, then the lead converts into a sale. They will get, like, let's say 10%. That will be $3,000. For someone from like the UK or the USA, it would be very, very doable to live off of $3,000, I would assume. So that's why. Because otherwise, let's say you're at 15, your commission would have to be like, so, like, if you're not doing flat fee, like a hybrid model between flat fee and a commission based, you would need to give like a lot of percentage away, like 30 or 40% for them to live off of it. And you want to have stable income as well. So my income had anywhere between 12 to 15K like a year ago. It sounds very stable, but if you look at the costs that I had, I will make a video about this in the future because it was a funny time for me. It wasn't stable enough that I had like no stress ever. So make sure that you can get a very stable income from your business first before you start hiring, because otherwise, and for me, this wasn't particularly the case, but I've seen it a lot of times around me that when people are stressed, they tend to put it on you and give you stress as well. And that's a very, very toxic working environment, just a very toxic situation in general. Then predictable numbers. If you don't know what your closing rate is when someone comes from your DM or your messenger to a coaching call, you have no idea what's going to happen when your setter books 10 appointments. So it's a very hard thing to actually get someone to work with you for like 10, let's say it's 10%, if they have no idea what's going to happen when they book a call. So if you don't have any closing rates or you can't prove that you're good at closing or good at what you do for work, then it's going to be very hard to actually start working with someone that is actually good at what they do. A little calculation here. Let's say you book 20 calls, your booking rate is 10%. So this is like for outbound setting, 200 reach outs. Your closing rate is 30%, which is, it's kind of okay for doing outbound, actually, to be honest. For inbound, it would typically be anywhere between 50 and 70%. You will have closed 6 clients. So if you do this every single week, you close 6 clients, your service price is 2K, you close 12K, and that's every single week. But if you give the setter 10% of everything that comes in or everything that comes in through them, because of course, first you do this and then they're going to replace your that task of yours, they will make 1.2K in a week, which will be 4.8K in a month, which I feel like is a very, very good number for a setter. And if they can do this, and if they can do it better than you, they will be a very, very valuable asset within your business. And that's also why it's important to, at some point in your business, hire a setter, because they can always become something else. Because the setter, when a setter is just working like under you, because let's be honest, they are working under you. They're doing a task that you should be doing or could be doing or did first. They get to know more about you and about your service. They get excited and they can work their way up to being like a client success manager or something. This could also be the same with a closer. They can also become a closer within your company. But now it's about a setter, of course. So if you do the math on your own work and see if it makes any sense to hire a setter, that's an important thing to do. Just do the math on everything and make sure that it makes sense to hire the setter financially for them and for you, but especially for you in the beginning. And then the secondary thing is looking at if it's interesting for them. Then the daily tasks of a setter. So what does a setter actually do? So typically a setter builds and nurtures relationships in the DM or a messenger, of course, and they warm up leads for their call. So let's say they have booked a call, that they have booked someone on a call. You're going to do that call, but they're going to be warming them up. You can also do it yourself with voice memos. That's something that I teach my clients actually. But if you don't want to do so, your setter can very well do it themselves. They can say like, "Hey John, I'm very excited for a call. I'll see you in 2 hours," just to warm them up. And let's say John isn't gonna show up. He's gonna let you know way in advance. So that's also a very good thing. Then follow up on no-shows. So let's say someone doesn't show up, they can follow up in the DM or in Messenger. And also if someone didn't close, and let's say you've done a call and you have no closer yourself, you can tell the setter why they didn't close. It's also a very good thing to do, because when someone doesn't close, that means that the setter doesn't make money. And if you explain to the setter why you didn't close them, so you basically explain to them why they didn't make money this time. So it's important to keep them up to date, and it's also important to keep them up to date so that they can follow up on no closes. So let's say someone says, yeah, I can't do it right now. I'll get paid in 2 months by a very big client of mine. Then what your setter can then do is he can keep sending the messages and saying like, hey, how is that very big job of you going? Or it sounds a bit cynical, but you know what I mean. You can just follow up on them. And that's typically very beneficial. Then where do you find a good setter? And I feel like this video is taking like hours, but bear with me. I hope it's valuable. Then where do you find a good setter? You can use Upwork, Facebook groups, Instagram. You can post on your socials and ask your network. So you can say, I'm looking for an appointment setter, I'm looking for specifically this, so native English speaker. This is the, I'm missing speaker, like English speaker. You could just put your requirements in there and wait for someone to reply. If no one replies, you can still go to Upwork, look at Facebook groups. You can go to Facebook groups and you can look up appointment setters online, appointment setters for SMA, appointment setters for coaching companies, all that type of stuff. You could just look it up and you will find a lot of things, because there are a lot of people right now being trained to be an appointment setter. In most cases, it's a good thing, but it's also important to interview multiple setters. So let's say you can talk to 10 people on a Zoom call, talk to all of them, write down everything that they say, and like also write down the feeling that you got with that person. And then after the 10th one, then make a decision. It's important to make a very informed decision. And because if you have a bad setter, and you do like a hybrid model between flat fee and commission based, you're probably going to be losing money, and also in opportunity cost, because if they do their work well, you're going to lose money. If you found this valuable, like, subscribe, hit the bell. And if you own a coaching company that is doing over 10K or maybe just a little bit less and you want to grow it, we run ads and we do marketing consulting as well. First link in description to book a call with me. It never hurts. I won't try to sell you anything if you won't be a good fit. It would be very dull of me towards you as well if I wouldn't pitch you if you are a good fit. Check out my other videos. Follow me on Instagram at Eli Consulting. As always, I will put it somewhere in the screen here. Probably very big, way too big. I'll see you later. Bye.